Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of anime. This industry has given us some of the most thrilling and exciting stories throughout the years with so many iconic characters. But one thing I believe they do that no other media does better is godlike beings. Yup, you heard me. Anime's had villains, and when I use that word, I don't simply refer to a bitter antagonist or someone with a grudge who could potentially harm our hero. No. You need to think about the grand scheme of things. What if I told you some entities threaten the existence of anyone who comes their way? I'm sure you'd want to know a few of their names, right? Well then, what are we waiting for? Let's jump right into it. Take your seats, buckle up, and allow me to present to you 13 terrifying godlike anime beings who could erase entire worlds. It's going to be a good one, so let's get right into it. Zeno, Dragon Ball Super. Let's start things off with someone who truly deserves to be at the top of the list when we're talking about terrifying godlike beings in anime. It's little wonder that Zeno automatically finds his spot here. Also referred to as the Omni King, this is someone who sits at the top of the hierarchy in the Dragon Ball multiverse and takes command of ruling over all 12 universes as per canon. Now, Zeno is truly horrifying, and this horror can be sensed even more when you understand how he really wields these powers of his. On one hand, you've got the protagonists like Goku and Vegeta, who train day and night relentlessly to prepare themselves for combat at any possible time, and on the other hand, there's Zeno, who's got a simple little gesture. Yup, you heard me right. That gesture looks like a child wiping away a drawing, but it's capable of wiping away entire universes instead. I'm not kidding when I say that all Zeno needs is a little bye-bye, and boom, an entire universe, or maybe multiple ones, is just gone. We're talking about countless innumerable lives, entire civilizations, and cosmic structures here. Zeno had gone so out of his head with these powers that even someone like Beerus, among other gods of destruction, had to get down on their knees when he showed up in front of them. As per the Future Trunks saga, he's even been shown erasing entire timelines. The immortal merge Zamasu, who had become one with the universe itself, also fell prey to this. This demonstrates the terrifying extent of his erasure powers. This is someone who, without even training for a single fight in the Dragon Ball franchise, just goes around erasing everything, from planets to people to universes to timelines. One simple gesture is all it takes. The Anti-Spiral, Gurren Lagann. Next up, we've got the Anti-Spiral, and this one's a really strange entity. In fact, I wouldn't even classify them as a singular entity in the first place. After all, this is a collective consciousness of an entire civilization that had once abandoned their physical mode of life just so they could culminate themselves into this abstract being. Strange stuff, I know, but this civilization was a really advanced one, along with being a peaceful and intelligent one, so much so that they had even uncovered the secrets of the universe. But soon enough, they came across the knowledge that spiral races, like theirs, were actually capable of destroying reality with the help of something called the spiral nemesis. Here, a prolonged series of evolutions would eventually result in the universe collapsing. And so, with that in mind, the Anti-Spiral decided that maybe the best solution was to become the ones to start oppressing people, and oh boy, they did that. Intriguingly, their powers and abilities are pretty much incomprehensible. They're capable of going to insane lengths with their powers, as they can turn multiverses into prison systems, and when doing something like this, they usually trap their enemies in a labyrinth-esque reality, from which escape seems virtually impossible. There are numerous instances where the Anti-Spiral has gone so far with such techniques that the protagonist feels totally trapped with not even a little bit of hope of getting out. But creation isn't where they excel, and they've proven time and time again their mastery in their control over physics. They generate isolated universes that happen to have their own set of laws. Additionally, don't forget that they can manipulate dimensions and physical laws on an incredible scale. Their bizarre set of freakish powers can be traced back to their mysterious homeworld. Truth, Fullmetal Alchemist. If you thought the Anti-Spiral was weird, Truth raises the bar much higher in virtually every category. Unlike other vicious villains who aim to destroy galaxies, Truth is not a being in the conventional sense, but a metaphysical embodiment of existence, knowledge, and the laws of alchemy. I know that's not a perfectly accurate description, but it's tough trying to explain a metaphysical force that represents all of existence and knowledge. So what exactly is truth? Well, the Elric brothers use human transmutation, a forbidden technique, and as a result, Truth ends up taking Edward's leg and Alphonse's whole body. Apparently, that's the price you get for trying to get a glimpse behind the gate. One important thing about Truth is that it demands a deeply personal price. In Truth's own words, I am the world. I am the universe. I am God. I am Truth. I am all. I am one. And I am you. Make sense of that what you may, but regardless, this omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent force of nature bosses over the laws of alchemy too, by existing in a blank void, usually, and at times, as a bright white silhouette surrounded by black shadow. The stakes raised in Fullmetal Alchemist's apocalypse are clearer in the series' main villain, Father, and his plan. We all thought he was trying to absorb God, but in reality, he was going after truth itself. He intended to capture the being he called God to obtain ultimate power, and what better way than literally, physically capturing it? In the climax of the series, Edward offers his own connection to alchemy for the sake of his brother's body. To that, Truth simply smiles and says, "That is the correct answer." Literal chills. You just can't outsmart Truth because you don't understand him in the first place. That's because Truth is knowledge. All of it. Featherine Augustus Aurora, Umineko When They Cry. Residing in a meta world, a dimension quite literally higher than the others, Featherine is directly responsible for the events of the lower world. She's got the power to create, destroy, rewrite, and revamp entire narratives and game boards with seemingly effortless ease. And I mean, why wouldn't you? Control the narrative, check. Exist across innumerable dimensions, check. Operating from up top, beyond the reach or sight of anyone she controls, also check. Featherine has powers so ferocious that erasing the universe would seem like an underwhelming task to her. Even the strongest of witches, like Lambda Delta, would take a step back when hearing her name. One peculiar thing about Featherine is the memory device she wears. It's actually a device that can retain her whole appearance along with her personality and her memories. But that's exactly her gray area too. If somehow damaged, it could cause her to turn into an entirely different person altogether. Then there are her cat-like attendants who further reinforce her mysterious higher dimensional presence, and it kind of makes sense too, because you're guarding someone who literally views reality as a rough draft that she can rewrite anytime she wants. Beerus, Dragon Ball Super. The great Beerus comes next. What more is there to be said that hasn't already been said about this guy? He's the literal god of destruction for Universe 7, tasked with getting rid of entire planets to maintain balance on a cosmic level. His natural behavior, including his sleep cycles and food-motivated visits, as well as how he behaves in duels, all of this tells us a lot about who he is, what he does, and what he can do. At pure face value, a sleepy purple cat should just mean entertainment, right? Well, not in this case. That's a ruse from the creators. Beerus has insane powers that even the strongest of fighters can't compete with when battling him. This cat destroys planets and solar systems with ease. He could sneeze and it would cause massive destruction. He even defeated Goku's Super Saiyan 3 form with a simple tap. As per the Supreme Kais, Beerus is most definitely capable of destroying the entire universe. And yeah, when he was clashing with Saiyan God Goku, that was definitely true. Their clash threatened to destroy the universe. That's his wrath. And it's unsettling to the core that Beerus destroys worlds because he believes it's his duty. Just imagine the extents he would go to if he had a personal grudge. There's no negotiation with a god doing his paperwork, let alone a god with a grudge. Haruhi Suzumiya. The melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Next up on our list of terrifying gods is a regular-looking high school girl. Yeah, I'm not joking, but that's pretty much the only normal thing about her. We're talking about Haruhi Suzumiya, who has the insane ability to rewire reality as per her liking. Except there's one little twist that sets her apart from the others with similar powers, like Zeno and Beerus. That twist is the fact that she doesn't know she's using those powers. What she does is trap everyone within a time loop, and she's oblivious to it simply because she felt her summer break was incomplete. This also ties into her emotional instability, which can create alternate dimensions known as closed spaces. You see, years earlier, there was a point where, without her knowledge, she may have destroyed the entire universe. I know, that sounds insane, but there's more. Right after, she immediately created a new one as well. And the fact that she's mostly unbothered by her actions, at least the one she's aware of, is really scary. surely this isn't what they're talking about when they say someone is bored to death, right? This boredom also led Haruhi to create an organization called the SOS Brigade, whose mission was to search for aliens, time travelers, espers, and other mysteries. Meanwhile, members of the agency quietly monitor her emotional state to help prevent her powers from spiraling out of control. Looking back at the sheer amount of destruction this girl caused with absolutely zero knowledge of it, it's safe to assume that she won't react very well to her addition to this list. Arceus. Pokémon. Listen, everybody loves Pokémon. Even if a lot of us never actually watched the anime, it's still the highest grossing media franchise of all time. But this well-known universe has a creator as well, and that's Arceus, a Pokémon who most definitely deserves a spot on this list. For starters, Arceus created the entire Pokémon universe. All of it, including space, time, antimatter, and more through the likes of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. In Arceus and the Jewel of Life, it protected the world from a meteor storm, which nearly killed it too, but it was eventually saved by a human who later betrayed it. When Arceus woke up, there was a rage in it, a scary urge to cause wrath which nearly destroyed the entire world. As the being credited with creating the Pokémon world, Arceus possesses power on an unimaginable scale. But that's not all. It can also alter the laws of nature too by stopping time and even reversing destruction on a massive scale. It also has the multi-type ability to change its elemental type. Well, it's not exactly surprising to learn that the creator of everything was most definitely capable of destroying everything as well as rebuilding it once again, but intriguingly, that last bit happens when Arceus clashes with its own creations, which obviously ends in the absolute destruction of everything around. The Lord of Nightmares. Slayers. In the Slayers universe, the supreme being of the Sea of Chaos is the Lord of Nightmares. That's a chilling name for a character that obviously deserves to be on this list. She's the ultimate source of energy as well as magic. Most powerful spells directly draw their energy from her. She lives in a whole different dimension, the Sea of Chaos, from which the four worlds are said to emerge. Since she is the creator god, she technically has no form or gender, but it's been made obvious that she prefers a feminine humanoid form while being surrounded by golden light. But that golden light in itself can come in handy for obliterating beings, despite looking like it's just there for aura reasons. Her immense power can be channeled through spells such as the Ragnarok Blade. While she doesn't usually directly interfere, she has had one particular instance where she ended up killing Hellmaster Fabrizio after he forced Lena to complete the Giga Slave and confronted the Lord of Nightmares directly. While in her dormant state, she embraces the personification of raw and wild chaos. When awakened, she can quite literally return creation to primordial chaos. Whether she chooses to intervene is entirely unpredictable. However, if she doesn't, then don't expect any mercy or empathy from her. Madoka Kaname. Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Madoka Kaname, as a character, has a whole journey to follow if you want to see how she goes from being an ordinary girl to becoming a literal god who can transcend humanity across different timelines and realities. And that's not all. She rewrote universal laws and made sure magical girls would no longer become witches throughout history, while also becoming a force beyond normal space-time comprehension. Something close to divine, if not literally godlike. In Puella Magi Madoka Magica, she makes a wish so powerful that it immediately elevates her to the status of a goddess. This, however, led to her losing her physical self, including any sort of contact with anyone she cared about. The only exceptions are her close friend Homura and her younger brother Tatsuya. In this form, she served the law of cycles, and just like other godlike beings mentioned already, she gained the power to rewrite reality itself. Madoka had a movie called Rebellion, but its ending is considered controversial by many fans, mainly because it had Homura pulling Madoka down to earth before separating her human self from the law of cycles. Homura was truly hell-bent on doing this, but this act only transformed Madoka into her satanic counterpart. As of now, Madoka's godly abilities might be locked away, but in the upcoming movie, titled While Purgasnacht Rising, we might just see her fight back to reclaim her lost godhood. Kaguya Otsutsuki, Naruto Shippuden. Being the origin of chakra on Earth, Kaguya Otsutsuki was introduced to us in the legendary Naruto Shippuden, where we saw her immense powers and abilities. The ninja world's god and ancestor was the ancestor of the Sharingan, and long before the hidden villages were found, during the time of endless wars, she was sent to Earth as a mere sacrifice. But the tides turned real quick, and in one instance she decided to consume the fruit of the god tree, which meant that she chose to betray her own people to become the first wielder of the chakra. This led to her getting absolutely drunk on power and demanding more, which had her caring for nothing and nobody and causing destruction for her enemies. She later merged with the tree's tailed beast form in a battle she fought against her own children, Hagoromo and Hamura. Intriguingly, this contest ended with her being sealed away. Fast forward centuries later, during the Fourth Shinobi World War, she was brought back by Black Zetsu, the manifestation of her will, after which she only resumed her attempt to claim all the chakra for herself once again. Yhwach, Bleach. The emperor and founder of the Wandenreich, Yhwach had to be mentioned on this list. The main antagonist of Bleach was also the progenitor of the modern-day Quincy race and bore the letter A for the Almighty, which is his main ability. He simply had to open his eyes, and he could see all possible futures and change them at will. His knowledge and dedication to rituals are a serious part of the malice in his actions, especially one called Oshvalen, which allows him to reclaim the life force and powers of selected Quincy. But his powers surged to a whole different reality-bending level after the Wandenreich's second invasion of Soul Society, where he killed and absorbed the Soul King. He did face defeat 1,000 years ago, but his persistent mindset of attaining ultimate power meant he wouldn't be gone forever, and he re-emerged to start the Quincy Blood War. The fascinating catch with this character comes from his infancy, a time when he couldn't see, hear, speak, or feel anything at all. It was referred to as fourfold pain, but then, when he started giving parts of his soul away to others and got them back once those who had briefly acquired those soul bits passed away, he went on to learn from their abilities. That's the extent his soul will go to, because if the fragments of his soul stop returning to him, he would eventually return to that state of suffering, and he can't afford to let that happen. Zeus. Record of Ragnarok. Zeus, the king of the gods in Greek mythology, was no less a cosmic-level being in Record of Ragnarok. He looked like an old man, sure, but that was just his appearance. His powers might have you reconsidering your preconceptions. Zeus had the ability to take on many different forms, but he chose to consistently take on a brutish, muscular form because why not? But Record of Ragnarok presents a really fascinating premise. You see, the gods have come up with a verdict that equates humanity to being a failed experiment, and as a result, they've voted to wipe us all out. But there is a glimmer of hope in the form of a tournament which sees humans being pitted against gods, with a victory ensuring the survival of our entire species. Zeus decides to take on the responsibility of going against Adam, the first human, as per the Bible. Zeus's towering presence is daunting enough for even the other gods, so just imagine going one-on-one against him as a mere mortal. In this fight, Zeus unleashes attacks that become unimaginably fast before revealing his signature technique, the fist that surpassed time, which, as you might have guessed, transcends time itself. Well, that's the sort of thing you can expect from someone who's witnessed the Big Bang and also defeated the literal embodiment of time, Kronos. Despite having his own set of limitations with his inability to reshape reality or existence, you can't deny Zeus is one of the most powerful gods when you measure from a conventional perspective. In that regard, Zeus excels in a way that places him among the mightiest of the gods. As a nervous opponent once muttered during a battle against Zeus, "Is this really the power of a god?" No, it's the power of the god of gods. Veldanava. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Veldanava is the first true dragon, also known as the Star King dragon from the anime. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, and he's a really interesting character to study. He was the creator of the Central World, among many others, but he gave up most of his powers to become a part of what he himself had created. As a result, he took on a human form, appearing as an androgynous man with blue eyes, while his dragon form has cyan scales all over. But this decision to give up his powers is another example of his usually whimsical self. He doesn't particularly care for boredom, and instead prefers imperfection that he believes he would have only found by giving up his omnipotence. He was declared dead for most of the series, with the explanation being that he and his wife, Lucia, died in a terrorist attack. As per the series lore, his set of powers was considered limitless and above almost every other godlike entity in the upper hierarchy. However, a serious change in his character occurred when he discovered his wife, Lucia, had died in that terrorist attack, and this left him feeling disillusioned. He began to view all of his creations as failures and became obsessed with hitting a reset on all the worlds he altered in order to bring Lucia back. This was erratic and it caused a great deal of pain to everybody else, and at one point, CL successfully managed to revive Lucia herself just to make Veldanava stop, but soon enough, he himself met his permanent end when Yhwach, his sentient other self, devoured him and the newly revived Lucia to become Luvelge. Well, that's our video for today, and what a list! We covered some of the greatest villains in the history of anime. These 13 names caused immense destruction, they shaped realities, and they toyed with the space-time continuum itself. Unsurprisingly, the most common reason these entities decided to commit these cosmic-level crimes was duty, boredom, or grief, rather than any form of personal hatred. And for my money, that's the most malicious part of all of it. Anime has most definitely shown us that these supervillain gods rule time, space, existence, and the realities of all the living beings in their domains, as well as everything in the middle. But it also showed us that most of these beings don't have a strong moral conscience. They might be omnipotent and all-knowing, but none of them really knows what it's like to be a human. That's all we got for you this time, but if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like it. Also, let us know in the comments down below who you think's the most powerful from our list today and why you think so. And finally, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.